Work has resumed at the state capitol to balance the current fiscal year budget and plug the holes ahead for the 2019 budget. But already the same disagreements that blocked every proposal so far have reappeared, and there are predictions that lawmakers may still be weeks, if not months away from solving the state's budget mess.
The House and Senate Joint Committees on Appropriations and Budget got to work this week on a series of bills that are aimed at producing the new income necessary to put the current budget for state government into balance as required by the Constitution. The House panel approved a series of bills that come from the Step Up Oklahoma plan put together by a group of business and community leaders, higher cigarette and fuel taxes, a 2% increase in gross production taxes, and new taxes on alternative forms of energy. But even as that work began, one major part of the plan was thrown out over a noon-hour break in favor of a new approach to increasing revenues from the state income tax, a plan that was met with many questions from Democrats as figures were tossed around on just how much money those changes would actually produce. Jim Denton is a CPA and a managing partner of Arledge & Associates in Edmond. He expects either income tax plan to cost upper-income people more money.
As far as our taxpayers, it's probably going to cost them a little bit more.
Joshua Jensen is a CPA and managing partner of Jensen & Company. He says the income tax proposal, as it now stands, does not mesh well with the new federal income tax structure.
If you're in a situation where you're taking the standard deduction for federal, and then now you're going to take the standard deduction for Oklahoma, you're going to lose there.
Jensen says that's because the new standard federal deduction has been doubled, while Oklahoma's stayed put and in some cases would even be lower.
The federal, which in 2018 is $24,000, then you're required to take a standard deduction for Oklahoma, which right now we know it to be $12,700. This is for married filing jointly.
And that, he says, means Oklahomans who itemize their tax returns will instead likely take the new higher standard deduction, which will mean a higher Oklahoma income tax bill.
It's 95% of Oklahomans, I think, that would get nailed with some kind of an additional tax.
The Step Up plan would raise an estimated $749 million in new revenue, but all of that will be used to keep health care funded, pay for a teacher pay raise, take care of increased expenses, and nothing else. David Blatt is executive director of the Oklahoma Policy Institute.
Even if the entire Step Up plan is adopted tomorrow, that still doesn't give $1 back to schools to hire more teachers, or higher ed to reduce tuition increases, or to deal with our prison overcrowded problem.
And Blatt believes the series of step-up proposals will face a much tougher trial once on the House floor.
We may see one decisive vote early next week, or this may be ongoing negotiations that continue into the second week and second month, and maybe into the fourth or fifth or sixth or eighth month of session.
One key tax provision the Democrats have been pushing for was included in that new income tax bill: restoration of the Earned Income Tax Credit, and it's refundable. It was removed 2 years ago. The addition was seen as a way to sway Democrats to vote for the bills. But it may not have been enough. Democratic State Representative Eric Proctor, a member of the House Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget, expects a lengthy battle over how to fix the government's ongoing budget problem.
I believe firmly that the bill does not have the votes to pass on the floor. It takes 76 to get there. There's a very strong conservative contingent within the House Republican caucus that will not support the plan, and you have a very strong blue-collar Democrat progressive contingent that wants to see the bill to be more fair to working poor and middle-income families.
Proctor sees the main issue with the various step-up proposals as falling short of fixing the reasons state government can't pay its bills.
Rather than going back and correcting our mistakes, we're punishing people that had nothing to do with the mistakes. It's not sustainable to continue to tax the working poor and middle-income families disproportionately to fund government.
But Representative Proctor does hope negotiations continue.
We're in the first week of the regular session now, And to move forward without having a compromise to just have basically a political game that's taking place, I don't think is positive for the state of Oklahoma.
CPA Jim Denton says when it's all said and done, every Oklahoma taxpayer will likely be impacted by whatever is changed.
Each taxpayer needs to do their own calculation, make sure that they've got their own set of facts and circumstances surrounding this, because it'll play differently on each person. And we don't know until we see the words in the law of what's going to happen.
The bills spawned from the Step Up Oklahoma plan are still expected to hit the House floor early next week, and it remains unclear if there are enough votes to move the measures over to the Senate.